Hello, everyone. Welcome to Danae's Art Room. I'm Danae. I'm so glad you're going to join me today. I have some new paints that I want to experiment and play with and just kind of get to know and see how they react. They are all Neocolor paints. Neocolor come in these little round jars, and I find these very hard to paint with just because I never know how much paint to put out on my palette, and it's just kind of awkward for me personally. So I've decanted them into some bottles. I wish I had 4-ounce bottles. These are 4-ounce tubes, and then it would be like perfect, but we do the best we can. So the colors I have are Venetian iron oxide red, transparent yellow iron oxide, Mars iron oxide violet, copper or antique copper, and golden bronze pearl. And I've just taken the stickers from the container, took them off and just stuck them back on. I'm also going to play with some Neocolor 1 crayons. I've never had Neocolor 1. I use Neocolor 2 crayons all the time. They're my favorite mark making tool. The Neocolor 2 crayons are water soluble. So when you put water on them, they're going to spread and kind of move and act a little bit like a watercolor. But the Neocolor 1 are not water soluble. So I'm interested to see how they act and how they react as I use them and layer them. And I'm just going to play on my big mixed media paper pad here. And this is what I'm going to create today. I think there's some really interesting things that ended up happening. I used some mark making tools. I also used a stencil from Joggles. And yeah, so if you would like to see me play with these materials and experiment with them, see how they work, see how they play with each other, and create this beautiful bronzy copper sort of rusted antique looking painting, then stick with me. I'm about to make it. I'm going to get started with these Neocolor 1 crayons. They are wax crayons, and so they're not water soluble. So as I add paint and different mediums on top, they should hold their pigment. I should be able to see these scratches unless I use, opaque paints. So I'm just curious to see how they hold up and how they react to the paints. The rest of these that I'm adding now, these are Neocolor 2 crayons. They are water soluble, and so as I add paints, they're going to spread and smear, and in some cases, they're going to disappear completely. So I'm just curious to see how those two different types of Neocolor crayons react as I add my paint. And here I'm going to start by spreading it as thin as I can. This is a color shaper brush. It's a silicone brush, and it really lets me spread the paint out nice and thin. And you can see some of this paint is more opaque and some is transparent. So especially the transparent red oxide and the transparent yellow iron oxide, which I'm using now, are really sheer and they're just gorgeous. So as I layer the paint, I'm just curious to see how the colors react with each other and what kind of shapes and layers that I can make. The Neocolor paint, if you're unfamiliar with Neocolor, it is quite a thin paint. So it's not to the same degree as like a fluid acrylic is thin, but it's quite soft. It's not a heavy body at all. So it makes it really easy to create thin layers because the paint itself is already very thin. And yet you can see how beautifully pigmented it is. This is the red iron oxide. So it's a transparent paint, but you can see that even though I'm saying it's a thin paint, I can, uh, put it on more thick to create a deeper color. I can scratch through it with my silicone brush and it will hold those marks. So it's a really good, I don't actually know what to call it, soft body paint, maybe. If you know, leave it in the comments. So you can already see through into the background where those wax crayon marks are really still holding up. They are keeping their shape, and the other marks are already becoming kind of lost in the layers I've made. So this paint, as you can see, also you can scratch through it. It created those really cool lines, and I was even able to spread it out down below. That's a great little tool. I have no idea where I got that little scraper tool. I've had it for so long. It's a fun tool. So here, this is the opaque paint. This is a darker color. And so I'm going to scrape through that one as well. And this paper pad is probably, well, it is. It's the biggest pad I have that I can use with my little space here. So I don't quite fit in my filming space, but I do my best. So here I've added a layer of paint, and this is a stencil from Joggles, and I'm going to try to remove the paint through the stencil, which gives me a really beautiful kind of aged effect. It looks like the paint has maybe faded or corroded over time and revealed those circles. I like it so much, I'm going to do it again. I could probably even pull more paint off if I used like a baby wipe. So now I'm adding paint to the stencil, kind of see the opposite, see how the paint layers using this technique. I've kind of darkened my paint here. I'm using, I think that's the bronzed copper, and you can see it does a beautiful job. And I like it so well. I'm going to try it again. So this is kind of very subtle. Like I said, if I use something wet, if I wet that little rag, or if I used a baby wipe, I could probably pull even more paint out, but I was really happy with that result. It's kind of a softer look than adding the paint through the stencil. That's a bit more rigid. So this is the Neocolor 2. It's a great example. I love the Neocolor 2 crayons, the way they move and spread. And I'm just adding water to it. That paintbrush only has water on it. And you can see that as I manipulate it, it can get even more sheer. I can rub it off. And yeah, it's just gorgeous, gorgeous. Love this. So I'm adding the black just to get some extra contrast. I have a lot of dark colors. None of these colors are very, light on the spectrum. Maybe that transparent iron oxide, that's probably about as light the color as I have. So I'm creating some really dark areas. And I can manipulate the paint and push it back. So I decided that I liked it more kind of as a glaze. So it gives us a hint of something maybe a little bit dirty or old. Yeah, I just really love the Neocolor 2 crayons. They're so fun to work with. And I love layers. So I add a little, I take a little off, I add a little more, I take a little off. I love these little paint marks. that I was able to get. Just, and again, it's the Neocolor 2 crayon and some water. So here I'm coming in with that transparent yellow oxide, and you can see as it layers on top of those other colors, it just creates a beautiful, beautiful tint, kind of like a glaze. I'm not a huge fan of yellow in general. I find it very difficult to paint with yellow, but this transparent yellow oxide is probably one exception. I really, really love it. And I love to use it at the end as a glaze to kind of harmonize the whole painting, which I do for this as well. If you want to make a glaze from your paints, it doesn't have to be Neocolor paint. I would suggest just adding maybe some matte medium or some gloss medium. It depends if you want a matte finish or a glossy finish. You can add any paint, just a little bit of paint and some medium, and you'll create a really beautiful glaze. So here I'm adding that bronzed copper straight on. I want to see how opaque it can be. So this is really thick. And so that's fun to play with. And I just share it around. Who doesn't love some antique bronze or copper? And then I'm using this color shaper to just press in and make some unique marks by removing paint. This palette has me in love. I am really, really enjoying these oxide paints. So I was kind of inspired. I was doing some research or watching some videos, and maybe a commercial for Gamblin oil paints is what I saw. And they have a paint series called Reclaimed Earth. And the pigments are so beautiful. I don't really have any desire to use oil paints. I've used acrylics, since I've started painting, and I've just started getting into maybe trying out some watercolor paints. So I'm not prepared to add another medium. I've got plenty of supplies to keep me busy with where I'm at. But I really love the color of the reclaimed earth. And so I kind of went on a scavenger hunt, a paint scavenger hunt, trying to find what acrylic paints came closest to those reclaimed earth colors. And these are the ones I found from Neocolor. So I found them on Blick. You can go to neocolor.com. They have their own website. Where I live, it's $30 for shipping, which is just a huge expense for me. So I was really happy to find these at Blick, because then I can just get the Blick shipping cost, which is much more reasonable. And yeah, so all of these are oxide paints. So I ordered all of them. And then I've got some fluid acrylics as well that are oxide. And they've been really fun. I'm super loving this palette. It's very earthy, kind of rustic. And then I threw in the copper and the bronze just because I love metallic paints. And I think they're gorgeous. It's funny to me though, so the Neocolor, the antique copper to me looks like bronze, or is it the antique? the golden bronze looks like copper, and the antique copper looks like bronze. So I can see myself getting mixed up with those colors quite a bit in the future. So I'm going to cut a lot of this out. All I'm doing now is adding layers of glaze. A little red iron oxide and then some yellow iron oxide, and I'm just swirling it around. I want to keep some brush strokes so that it looks kind of odd and not perfectly smooth. And I do this for a while. So there's a big chunk of that cut out, but here we are at the end. This was really fun. I am so happy with these colors. In fact, as I was making this painting, I knew immediately I needed to try them on the gel plate. So there will be a gel printing session video coming out with these colors. And I wish I'd had close at hand like a little viewfinder, because I think some of these areas are really, really pretty. And so I kind of here use my hands a little bit to look. You can, map out some sections, which are fantastic. And I am thrilled with these results. Thanks for being here today. Please subscribe to this channel. Like this video, you will help this channel grow, and that would mean the world to me. Plus, it's free, so it doesn't get any better than that. All right, bye.